Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We went to movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained as pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey,
Guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweetie with a Y.
And I'm Sweetie with an IE.
And hey, what's going on, guys? How are you? How are you feeling today? What's going on? How's things?
Oh yeah, pretty good. I miss seeing you, Sweetie.
You
with a
see
Y.
me right now.
I know, but like for reals, you know, we really took for granted how we could just see each other all the time.
Is it really that different? It's not like we're like
Yes.
snuggling.
No, it's totally that different. I mean, at least like you live by yourself, so you know that's a different story. You haven't even hugged anyone but your cat.
I mean, I haven't hugged anyone but my cat in like 10 years. No, I hug you
That's not
sometimes.
true. We hug every time we
I
see each
know.
other and say
I'm
goodbye.
just
I don't know what you're
kidding.
talking about.
Just kidding.
Hurts my feelings that you don't
Oh my
remember our glorious
God.
Sweetie hugs.
Anyways, so here we are. Again, it's Thursday. Not like that matters to you, the listener. But we watched a movie. Just like usual. So I got to pick this week, and I forget, I don't know why, it just like crept into my mind one day. I was like, sitting on the couch, and I was like, remember that movie Swimfan? To nobody but myself and maybe my cat. And then I just like instantly was transported back to whatever, the early 2000s, when I saw this movie with my friends in the movie theater, and we thought we were like so cool and so mature. And we thought it was like such a great movie, so thrilling. I jumped out of my seat and like one part of it, and I just thought it was great. And I remember watching it like pretty, like, after that, like I would watch it a couple times. Like I saw this movie a pretty good amount of times, but I haven't seen it since like that period of my life. So like 20, I haven't seen this in like 20 years. It was so weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy that's almost how old it is.
know.
Wild. Yes, this does feel very much like a movie you would see in high school with your friends, for sure. I got transported back to that like immediately.
Oh my God.
I myself did not see it in the movie theater with my friends. So 2002, I would have been like, depending on when it came out, either a freshman or sophomore in college. But I've seen it just once, I think. And I really only remembered the ending, though the plot's pretty predictable. So I was like, I don't know if the plot's predictable or I just like remember some of it. But I definitely remembered the final scene. That seemed like kind of a big deal.
It was all coming back to me, you know, Celine Dion style.
It's all
like,
coming back to me now.
It was crazy. Like going into it, I was like, I don't know if I remember anything. And then as soon as it started, it was like the weirdest sensation. It was like when we watched Pippi Longstocking. And I was like, I know
awesome.
everything that's going to happen. And it just comes back to you. It's so crazy.
It's such a fun feeling.
But here's what I learned, you know, not a great movie. Not a great movie.
It feels very TV movie to me. Like it has a TV movie feel to it, for sure. Not that the acting isn't up to caliber, but
No.
I would just say like the plot choices or something.
They're too dramatic, like too extreme. This could easily have been a lifetime movie.
Yeah. Like once, like whenever there was like this like tweaky violin noises when she was kind of like feeling bad, and she'd have these like psychotic twitches. She'd be like, he doesn't like me. He doesn't like me. You could see her brain like shorting out. I'm like, okay, this is not a quality film, but you know, I still really enjoyed it for like the nostalgic throwback for sure. And you know, who doesn't love a good stalker flick? And we'll talk about it later. There's quite a few of them, whether you want it to be, you know, female stalking a male stalking a female, same-sex stalking. I mean, it is out there. in every decade, it's prevalent. So we'll talk about the stalker genre. It's it's interesting, and you're like, why do we make movies about stalkers? Because it's like a scary thing. Like this is why people do not date, right? This is why people do not go into romantic relationships because of this risk.
Part of it is for the people, like, everyone seems to love true crime, but there's still like people who are like, ooh, murder, like, ooh, too much. But then a stalker is like a nice in between, because usually maybe murder isn't involved. In this case, yes, it was allegedly. Where's the proof? That's all I'm gonna say. But
wait, of the guy in the pool?
Yeah. I'm just kidding. She obviously did it. It. But yeah, I think that's why people might.
But I will say, the female on male ones, where it is almost always that they are like a side piece, and the guy regrets, sleeping with them and leading them on, but they never get over it, right? So that's almost always the plot of the female ones. And so part of me like really feels for these chicks, because I'm like, yes, that is not the right reaction to, being rejected, right? It's like a rejection thing. But at the same time, like, the men are not at fault here. Like, and I think this movie does a good job of not really setting up him as being like you don't feel like too bad for him, because, he fucked up. It doesn't mean to say that like you deserve to be stalked and people in your lives harmed. But I find that tends to be the case with these female ones, and always the crazy female, right? Like, and there's always stuff in their past, and they've always been crazy, and like which is just a problem in some ways.
I think I disagree a little bit about the they do a good job of making you what was it you said, feel bad for him or whatever, was that, or no?
Yeah.
Or okay, so wait, I had a thought, and now my cat's being all crazy and I'm distracted, so I lost it. But I think I was gonna say that I don't know. It'll come back to me later. I'll come up with this epiphany.
Okay, yeah. Because we'll talk about, there's, on my Instagram story, I shared, a couple different stalker ones. So we'll talk about all those. Maybe we'll eventually do some of them. Maybe this will be our only stalker one. Mm-hmm. Who knows, guys? Keep listening. Episode 300. Just kidding. We're only at 2 something, but. So, Sweetie Pie. This movie's from 2002, as you said. You would have been in high school. I would have been just starting college. Early 2000s, what a time for teen movies. We had a slew of them. Mm-hmm. Great time in our lives, I'd say. And who is in this amazing film?
Oh gosh, I forgot to look up the real names. I forget, but I know the first one. I forget. I just forget the guy's name. But so Erika Christenson. That's Erika with a K. She had like a real brief run in the 2000s, I guess. Yes. She was in Traffic. She was in this.
Yes.
She's in other stuff, but these are the two.
I feel like in the 2000s, they were trying to make her almost like a Jennifer Lawrence. Like, she was a young actress. She had like a good, serious role, and then they were like, okay,
or like Julia
she's
Stiles.
going to be.
She always reminds me of Julia Stiles.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I'd always kind of like confuse them. She has such an interesting face.
I know.
It's like it's like a baby fat face, which like
it's a baby. Yes.
Yeah. She's gorgeous, but it's just strange that not strange. I'm glad that people thought she could be like a leading, but she wasn't like lollipop head, like stick figure. She looks normal.
Exactly what I think about her too, and like whether that's like a horrible society and us being like,
Probably.
like you have to be this like gorgeous person to be this like stalker character, But I agree with you there. But there's something about her which works too, because she has this innocence to her, which I think what makes him kind of not realize that she's a total crazy face, because she looks like so innocent and sweet. I mean, she looks basically like a little doll. Like, she's the roundest face I've ever seen. Round eyes, like pouty lips. So I agree. Yes. But then I think she's still acting, but she is kind of dropped off. She didn't really go to any two big main roles. I think she was in Parenthood, that show.
Oh, yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So she did like a TV one too, but
right.
she's still acting, but I don't think anything like huge. Jesse Bradford is the male lead from Everyone Knows, Bring It On.
Bring it on.
I told when Jimmy was watching this, I was like, I feel like I told him that I felt that Jesse Bradford felt to me like the male lead of the 2000s, which seemed to be like not super good looking. I mean, the guy's like good looking, but like approachable good looking and sort of like,
He's like Paul Rudd.
like quirky. Yeah. Like something like that. Like, and I think that was his role for a bit of time. In Bring It On, he's like the brother who's sort of like not the coolest kid. This one, he's supposed to be like popular but nice, obviously, like
but has a
swimmer.
hard edge past.
Right. That part was crazy to me. I was like, well, it came in handy at the end for sure, but like weird connection, right? But he's good. I mean, his acting's like meh. Fun fact about him though. So my friend Sarah, who follows the podcast and reads our Instagram, was like, guess what? Jesse Bradford was my sister's ballroom dancing partner at some like summer camp she went to. So my friend Sarah and her sister grew up in Connecticut, in a town like a little bit outside New York, I think. Sorry, Sarah, I don't know where it is. I forget. So her Spanish partner, my friend Sarah's Spanish partner, was Paul Dano, the actor. So like they were in like a place where I think they had a lot of like families like who, because maybe they were near New York City, so there was like those opportunities that these families would move with kids who had like acting chops. Because both her and her sister had like actions with people. Yeah. So pretty cool. Yeah, that's my fun fact. Apparently, there's photographic evidence of their ballroom dancing partnership that we will get once she goes home.
I thought you were starting a new topic, and you were going to be like, apparently there's photographic evidence of his penis online. And I was like, where? But okay. Yeah, we can share that for sure. But yeah, I just can't. And sometimes this is like a chicken or the egg thing. I'm like, I can't remember if I saw him first in Bring It On or in this. Because it's a different.
What
it's a very
did come first though? This movie or Bring It On? Same year?
When was Bring It On?
Maybe. I want to say it's like the same year. I can't look.
I mean, I'm sure it was like one right after the other, but he's just such a different, and he's not even that much different of a character. But for some reason, I can't imagine.
Bring It On was 2000. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So I must have seen that first, but. So it's hard for me to see him as like this serious like male lead in this movie, because I think I always just think of him as weird Cliff and Bring It On. So it's interesting. It's interesting. And then we also have one of our favorites, I think, Dan Hedaya. Yes.
Total surprise. That was a hey, it's that guy moment.
You know what?
I was like, oh my God, he's in this.
For a brief moment, I had the Sweetie syndrome where I was like, wait, is there a part where like he's in the pool and then she kills him and it's sad? And then I was like, oh no. And the whole time I was like dreading that scene, but it never happened. So he's fine. Don't worry.
I gotta say, between Tully in Addams Family and then Cher's dad in Clueless, I never would have thought his next role would have been swim team coach. I just didn't see it with that belly hanging over the belt. I'm sorry, Dan Hedaya, who also always like reminds me of Richard Nixon for some reason. I don't know.
Did he play Nixon?
Look at him.
He should have. His like.
Is it the 5 o'clock shadow?
I
don't know.
5 o'clock shadow. Like I've never seen anything like that on anybody. He's just what a character. What a character.
I know. I love that guy.
But yeah, so he and then a couple of other like that woman. His mom is. Like Meredith Grey's mom and on Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy mom.
And like a bunch of other stuff too.
So his girlfriend is Sherry Appleby, who, if you remember, so her big claim to fame, back in the 90s, I think, was Roswell. So she was in that show. Yeah, I thought it was Smallville at first. And then I looked it up. I was like, oh, no, Roswell. Yeah. But more recently on Unreal, the show about the kind of the Bachelor kind of behind the scenes of the Bachelor show, fictionalized, but so she's adorable. Mm-hmm. She's like every little. She's a cool girl. She really got a bad turn here.
I don't know why
she did everything right.
I don't know why they waited so long to tell us that she rode a moped scooter like around as her vehicle. They waited a little long to tell us that. She's so cool.
She was so cool.
Yeah,
she really was.
But yeah, that's basically it.
Oh, wait, one more, because I again was like, hey,
Oh,
that
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
and had to think about it for like a hot sec. And then I was like, oh shit, yeah. From Orange is the New Black, Caputo
Yeah.
with tons more hair is like a bit part as this police detective. And you look at him and you're like, dang, that guy's face and voice is so familiar. What is it from? And then you go on IMDb and you're like, oh, yeah.
I was certain that Dante was the guy, the Social Network twins guy, Army Hammer.
Who's Dante?
Her cousin, the creepy cousin with the ear, the weird.
His name was Dante?
It was like his last name, I think. It was like Christopher
Oh, okay.
Dante or something. But
With
everybody
the
called him
24-hour
Dante.
24-hour bedhead and hearing aids?
Bedhead was too
Why
much.
did he always say bedhead?
It was like just one, and it was always so extreme, like crazy, and the hearing aid. And what is happening there? I just need to.
Why
know.
did he? Yeah, I don't understand what they.
Such
Why did they
strange-
make? I mean, it's okay to make him kind of a loser, but like, why does he have hearing aids?
now he's
I mean, I
the-
feel like
and
that's
he's the
saying
hero, you
people
know?
with disabilities, like is makes you like a loser.
He's
I
the
don't like
real
that
heroine
stereotype.
here.
I know.
Dante. Who knows what she was
really
doing
like
to him in that old house? You know.
I know. So sad.
Also, why do they have such small beds? I'm always always so suspicious when they show I think it's just like the filming. Like they can show like a glorious exterior of a house, but when they make the individual rooms, they're like, oh shit, we don't have a lot of money. So they all had these
Yeah.
little twin beds and these like tiny rooms in this giant house. I was like, what is this? What's happening?
Old house. I don't know.
That's strange. But okay. I mean, I'm just. Let's start because I'm just raring to go here. I'm just so excited.
I know it's these sort of B movies have like the best plots, and it's so fun to describe them because they're so bonkers. All right, it's time for the sweetie synopsis. Yeah,
Sweeties.
tell her you love me. I know it.
That's the quote on
Bad line
IMDb.
delivery.
It doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Ben Cronin is a high school senior swim champion, swim all-star, guys, who lives in New Jersey. Yeah, okay. So here's the thing. In the beginning of this movie, it's like very California. And to the point where like the school, I was like, is this the same school they filmed like Clueless at or Cruel Intentions or something? I was like, this just looks familiar. And so
It did feel like California. And when he was talking about going to
Yeah.
Stanford, I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
No, but then he was like, and then she was like, you'll be all the way in California. And I was like, I was like, aren't we in California? And I was so confused. So apparently we're on the East Coast, folks. Don't worry.
Right.
So Ben's, he's living the good life. He's got his girlfriend, Amy. She's going to Princeton and or whatever, right? Princeton? Is that the Rhode Island
I feel
one?
like she's an artist, so I think she's going to RISD or something. I thought she said Providence
Okay. Yeah.
or Newport or Rhode Island or
Said
something. I don't know.
Providence, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then he'd be going to California. So, young love in high school, think you're going to be together forever. It's a nice thought, but like very few people it happens to. I mean, I know two couples, so whatever. But
Yeah, I mean, it happens. But my note was like, why do people even date in high school? It just seems like so sad that you're like set up for that. And I mean, the most thing about that is that like there's no way you should be planning your college experience around like a boyfriend or girlfriend, which is just like so crushing because not only is it probably not going to last, but like you need to have experiences with other people. Like you can't, I just don't think it's a great idea to be like, I've only been with one person and sometimes they're the greatest. And sometimes people really luck out. And I'm not saying you need to sleep with like 25 people to like figure out who you want to be with, but I just think it leads for wandering lies later.
yeah. Or in this
What's a cheater? Always a cheater.
Right. Or in this case, a couple days later. So, new girl in town, Madison Bell, who is...
If that's not a stalker name, I don't know what is.
Yeah, totally
Right?
has to be fake. She's a cellist. Such a tough word. I saw it. I feel it. I see it in my head, and I want to be like cellist, but it's
Cellist,
cellist.
Yeah.
It's cello.
English is so crazy.
What? What's crazy?
English is so
Oh.
crazy.
Yeah, I guess it's not. Yeah.
Why isn't it cellus? It's CELL like a cell.
I don't know why they're trying to trick us like that.
I don't know.
But whatever. So she, it's just this like, and this is again, I feel bad because she is very beautiful, but I don't think she is like hot girl comes to school caliber level hotness that you would normally see in these movies. Don't you feel like it's
Right.
atypical?
And here's what I think. She dresses like she's 35. She wears trench coat. She wears like pencil skirt. She looks like very old. I don't know. She just looked kind of old to me. She has a baby face, but she seems like
She seems
kind
old.
of
The old
mature
baby face.
or something. Yeah, she is like a old baby face. It's like I don't know what, I mean, is that how she dressed in New York City where she came from? Like, who knows? But
Yeah, when she was pretending to be the doctor and she had that really long skirt on. I was like, what?
yeah. She's like, at one point, she has like a leather pencil skirt on. I'm like, you wear that shit to high school?
It was weird. Yeah, it was strange. It was strange. But she's on a mission apparently. So she immediately, by chance, or is it, bumps into Ben, and she's like, can you help me open my locker? Like, it's stuck. And so he comes over, and guys, secret talent, Ben is actually a really great locksmith. He knows his way around a lock with a bobby pin, I'll tell you. So keep that in the back of your head for later. And they have this little like exchange, and she's like, Madison Bell, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and he gives her back her like customized bobby pin with a music note on it. And she's like, keep it. You'll never know when you need to save me again. And I'm like, why don't you just keep it so that if you get fucked like someplace you're all stuck again, then you have it. Well, it's such a weird thing to say. And like, I feel like he's creeped out, but he's very like strangely attracted to her, which is annoying to me. Because I'm like, oh, you don't even know her. And like, he seems like an okay guy. And he's like immediately just bamboozled.
Exactly. And it's just like, is there hope for anybody? Men are pigs. But right. So then you see like his life start to set up. So I think the beginning scene, he was like having sex with his girlfriend Amy in the car, right? So you like know about her. And then you start to see like their relationship, which is very close. And they talk about, you know, they're both seniors. They're trying to figure out where they're going to go to school. He's a swimmer. He's trying to get into Stanford. So in the swimming program. So, and then like Sweetie said, like she's an artist, so she's going to go she's going to go to Rhode Island or whatever. So they're like talking about that. And then in the meantime, he gives her like this not beautiful, it was kind of ugly, but a necklace, in like a ring box. So at first you're like, oh my God, but it's just a necklace. Yeah. And you're like, okay. So they're really serious and they're really cute. I mean, you can't say they're not cute, right?
Yeah.
So then, I don't forget like why, he's like looking at someone on the side of the road driving his like Bronco or whatever the hell that was.
He's thinking about
Blazer.
because all his friends are like, oh my God, have you seen this girl Madison? Like, she's so hot. Like, oh my God, I love her.
Right. And to Sweetie's point, like I'm not getting those vibes either. Right. from what that actress looks like no offense to her, but also like how she's presented and dressed and whatever. She's a cellist. I mean, I don't know. So he's like looking on the side of the road and he's driving his Blazer and he like stops
it's a
just
Ford,
in time before.
It's a Ford Bronco, just so you know.
Oh yes, Ford Bronco, right? And he almost hits her. So whether she walked in front of the car or not is to be determined. But he feels bad, I guess, and offers her ride home. Right?
Also, like, oh, I was just thinking about her. Like, this is fate, and you know, he's attracted to her,
weird.
so he's stupid. So yeah, so she gets in the car and they like have this little exchange again, and then she's like, "Thanks for the ride, bye," and then she leaves. But she's forgotten her little notebook on the car seat. Or has she? Or did she on purpose? So Ben thinks it's like her secret diary journal, whatever. Opens it up, looks through it. It's music notes, compositions of pieces maybe she's written. And one of them has his initials on it, BC. And he's immediately like, oh my God.
That could have been anything. Birth control reminder?
Totally.
Before Christ? I mean, it really could have been anything. I mean, how much of an ego does that guy have where he's like, oh my God, these are my initials.
That's what I was thinking. And meanwhile, I'm like that. I was like that all the time in middle school, right? Where it was like, oh my God, he looked at me one time. He's obsessed with me.
But middle school.
Yeah, but
like this guy's 18.
Whatever. But it was pretty funny. So he's a little bit like, like side smile, interesting, but it doesn't really worry him. So he gives her a call on the old landline and talks to her. And they have a little exchange, and then they meet up to give her this very important diary. And they go to this diner or whatever, and they get to talking, and they're just like, sharing life experiences. And listen, Ben, he has a troubled past. He had a drug problem. It don't say I can't even say it with a straight face, because like his character is like the furthest away from a drug addict, right? Like in our head. Like when they said that, I just burst out. When he said that, I burst out laughing, because I was like, "You're not a drug addict." And what kind of drug?
And they use this, right? They use this, and mind you, to set up why he can pick locks really well. Number one. Also, number two, why he's such a good swimmer, because wherever he went to juvie had a pool. And he loved swimming in the pool that he got so good that he's now an Olympic caliber swimmer. So, wow, the pieces really fit together.
Right. It's such not an important piece of that. You could just be like, oh, my dad took me to the pool one day and I was obsessed with it. Like, it was so weird. And we don't know what kind of drugs. Like, it was crazy. It's crazy. So what do you think? I don't know. What do you think it could be? Heroin? Is that too much? I don't know.
What are drugs you get into heroin, when you're 15?
Coke.
Or probably even younger than that. Who knows? But
so
rough life.
So
so they're chatting.
What does she share at this point? I forget. Did she share like any intimate details of her life?
I thought, is that when she says she has a boyfriend, but they decided to see some other people since she had moved, but he'll be waiting for her when they get back to the city. So it sets up like that she's like normal, quote unquote, like she has a boyfriend too, because she's trying to seduce him. So she's kind of thinking, well, we both have a significant other. Like, what the hell? Yeah. So he's just not really falling for it yet. But she's like, I don't really want to go home. So then they cut to, him. I guess he has keys to the school because he can to train and stuff. So he is swimming and she's watching him swim. So she's just like sitting with her feet in the water and, he's doing his laps or whatever. Like, then 2 seconds later, she's in the pool with a bra.
And her red lacy brown underwear. Whoa, guys. Whoa. She's in the pool. She's like, careful. I can't swim. And like, okay, don't get in the fucking pool if you can't swim. But he gives her like a cute little swimming lesson. And then, she starts kissing him. And he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I told you I have a girlfriend. And she's like, I don't care. It's okay. And she's coming on real strong, right? And so then they're just like, she like grabs his dick and she's like, I remember seeing this in the theater and like she's like doing all these things under the water and I was like, what is happening? And, like, I don't know if I like didn't like get the concept of like fishing for a penis in a sea of boxers, but it's a very real feeling to me watching it now. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like it's a struggle sometimes. You gotta pull that sucker out. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. It was just such a funny scene to me when I was in high school because I just had no idea about stuff. Like I knew what sex was, but like there were very few scenes like that where it was like a weird. It's not a glamorous part, like I feel like of the process. So it was just strange. But good pool sex scene though. I think it ranks up there for me. Right with Showgirls and Wild Things. And then we got Swimfan. I mean, it's hot.
Yeah,
it's hot
not bad, not bad.
She's got a nice rack. She has a nice rack.
Yeah. I mean, it's, it seems legit. So he makes the cardinal mistake of, she does this weird thing where she's like, tell me you love me. And he's like, what? So that's the time when you pull out. I'm sorry. That's the time when you disengage and you say,
and
figuratively. You pull out of there because that's crazy. Okay. They just met. Clearly that's something an unhinged, unstable person says to you while like they're having sex with a stranger. So no, he's like kind of a pushover. I don't even know, he's just, or
he just wants to.
I mean, I think he just wants to have sex. Yeah. So he kind of gives her a weird look and she's like, and she understands. So that she's like kind of there and she's like, you don't have to mean it. Just say it. Like, I need you to say it. So he says it and nail in the coffin for him in terms of like the stalker world. So then they both agree, like no big deal. Like we won't tell anybody about it, whatever. Clearly he is riddled with guilt because let's remember, he just gave his girlfriend a fucking necklace. What kind of a rat gives his girlfriend a necklace. 2 seconds later is porking somebody else.
Right.
I mean, is that the worst or is that the worst?
I mean, I just don't feel that bad for him.
I don't
Really
either.
at all. And it annoyed me. And again, like we said, it's like, is anyone safe? Is anyone safe from this madness?
Right. I mean, how has that ever gone well for anybody? She could tell his girlfriend. I mean, if no one finds out, fine. But like, she could always tell her.
She could tell her.
She does.
Something worse could happen, which is
Right.
she could just turn immediately crazy. And
There's just
do some
nothing good
crazy
about
shit.
that. Right. And it's just for like and you know what? I'm not a guy. I don't know what this is like. But like for 2 seconds of however long that scene lasted, of like pure bliss or something, you know, and his girlfriend seemed pretty fucking cool.
She's so
So
cool.
Again, you're like, what is wrong with you? But you know, he knows he did wrong. He's riddled with guilt. He feels very, very upset.
Feels very bad about it. She's like left him a card in his locker and is like, I'm so proud of you. Like, so sweet.
No. The girlfriend leaves the card. She leaves the flower.
Yeah, I'm talking about his girlfriend leaving the card.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Jeez Louise. So meanwhile, Amy's parents are gone for a week on vacation. So she's going to have a party. It's very exciting. So Ben is going to go to that. So he arrives to the party, and Amy comes running up, and she's like, "Oh, Ben! Like, oh my God, I have to introduce you to my friend. Like, come here." And she goes there, and it's fucking Madison Bell. It's Madison Bell. At some point, she's befriended Amy, the girlfriend, and become like BFFs for life. I don't know what that time span was, like 10 minutes. How long did they know each other?
I'm always so impressed in stalker movies how fast the stalker moves. Like, wow.
Whoa.
Like
It's like
they
boom,
instantly
boom, boom. Yeah.
befriend. I mean, that's just kind of the personality of the stalker, right? They're like super charismatic people that can like kind of cozy up to people really quick, because she does that basically with like everyone in his life.
Right. Yeah. So they like have this weird introduction to each other, and it's like super awkward. And Ben is just like, oh my God, what the fuck? And then he like glares at her, and then like goes to talk to Amy. They talk about college again. She's like, oh, what if I go to Berkeley? And it's like, girl, no. So upsetting. So then they have the whatever. So then and then she follows him, Madison.
Yeah. They like talk at the party, and like he's like, what are you doing here? This is awkward.
Oh, it's that, remember, Ben's car is blocking somebody in, so it has to be moved. So Amy's like, I'll move it. So she goes to move it, and then Madison's like, oh my God. She's like, I left my panties in your car.
Okay, thank you. She's good correction, because I was gonna say another red flag. First of all, a stalker who says panties. First of all, what we've gone this discussion before.
Yes.
What woman?
No woman
says the word panties.
No, zero.
No one.
Zero.
Male script writers out there, please tweak your strips. If you have a woman speaking about her undergarments, she will never use the word panties. It's not the word. It's too sexualized. It's strange. We don't sexualize our own underwear.
It's both sexualized and like little girl
Yes.
ish. So it's double
Like
creepy.
they'll call it that. I feel like like Victoria's Secret, like they will do that, and guys will call it that. I have never used the P word in my entire life.
I find it so offensive.
It's off. It's so
It's-
offensive, and it's immediate tell to being like, okay, like woman was not involved in the writing
we
of this.
know where we stand. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, you're right. So her panties are like wedged into the seat of his
Just said
blazer
panties.
or Ford, whatever.
Ford
Bronco.
Bronco.
Ford Bronco.
But so does she find them or not? Amy?
No, I forget. No, because he stops her in the nick of time
Oh,
before
okay.
she moves the car.
Right. So so now, guys, finally, he's starting to kind of bring these pieces together of this crazy biatch
But he doesn't
puzzle.
shut it down then, though. Like, he kind of still is doing that nice thing about being like, oh, like, just kind of
Yeah.
playing it off like, okay, gotta go, like, see you later. And then I think she chats him
she
on, like,
IMs him on the old messenger system.
the off-brand
yeah.
AIM. I don't know why they don't use Instant Messenger. I guess they couldn't get the rights,
Probably
but
not. But yeah, she's like, "What's wrong? Was it the party? Like, I didn't. She's so nice, or like, I don't know, something creepy. I don't know." And he's like, "I have to go." And then she's like, "What's wrong?" And then he's like, "I really have to study, but." And then she just signs off. You know, the omnious just sign off without saying goodbye. Whew, it's rough.
and her name was Swimfan.
Her name was Swimfan. Did it have numbers? or just Swimfan?
Swimfan 85.
Must have been. I bet she was born in 85.
Yes.
Just like no one. I was going to say you, but
No,
that is
like
very
neither
wrong.
of us. A lot of my friends were born in 85.
True. So now he's kind of getting sketched out a little bit. So then he like has the talk with her yet, where he's like, we're just friends, right? Or like
No. So
she says
the first time he tries to shut it down, he comes home and his mom is there, and she's there with the mom, and the mom is being so nice, but she's like, who the fuck is this bitch?
She doesn't even know who she is.
I know, but she's so nice.
She's
Who the hell
like
is she?
showing this girl baby photos of her son.
Yeah.
Like, oh, isn't he so cute? Like, what the fuck did she tell him?
So weird.
Tell her.
So
like,
and then she's like, I'm so glad I finally met your mom.
Oh my God.
And like, this is when he really starts being like, what do you mean finally? Like, you just met me. She's like, well, and so then he starts to be like, okay, like this like can't happen. Like, I am not into you. I think that's when he kind of really does it. Like, and then she kind of tries to play it off. We're just friends, right?
yeah, like what are you talking about?
Yeah.
God, it's
Yeah.
totally
So she's
fine.
trying to play it off too. Yeah. But that's kind of his first attempt. And I think he thinks like, okay, cool.
Cool.
That was easy.
Yeah, yeah. Or was it? So tries to go back to his, his normal life, and then the next weird thing is she starts dating his friend.
I think so.
So he has this like jerky friend also on the swim team. It's
Oh
like,
no! Oh wait, no, sorry. He gets the like tons of emails from her with
yeah.
like a photo.
Okay. Oh yeah. So he's like doing his homework like in the library, computer lab, whatever. And yeah, he checks his email, and it's like, you have 6,892 messages. It's like swim fan. And like, does he even open one? No, he doesn't even open one.
Yes.
No, he opens the
Yes.
picture, but he doesn't open like any of the
I thought they were
messages.
just the pictures. Okay.
Oh, maybe. I think only like one was, because that's the one he opens. But like, I think they were all messages, and I really wanted to know what they said. But whatever, I guess I'll survive. So he opens the picture, and it's her in front of the bathroom mirror, naked, holding the camera, like across her chest, so you can't see anything good. Kind of a lame pick in my opinion. I think it could have been a little racier.
This is PG-13, so they can't do too much. But I don't think you can
whatever.
show nipple.
I mean, well, of course you can, but she was wearing red underwear. Like I expected more from her. Is what I'm saying basically. So he's kind of like, oh my God, what is happening? And then his girlfriend is just like, boo, like gotcha. And he's like, and he's like the classic, like trying to like escape, and it's frozen, and you're like,
Control
oh
Alt Delete,
God,
Control Alt
oh
Delete.
God, and then he just like unplugs it or something, and it's gone. So she's like, oh, you should come over to the house so we can have sex later before I go to work. And he's like, oh, I have to go to work. And she's like, damn it, darn. And then she's sensing a strangeness, I think, from Ben at this point. He's being very like weird and like not talkative, and like doesn't want to hang out as much as he used to. So then does he find Madison again and like talk to her?
So then he goes to swim practice, and he like gets to the end of the lane, and she's like standing at the end of it.
Yeah.
And he gets in, he's like, whoa, and like kind of like freaks out. And then he like gets out of the pool, or pulls himself a little bit out of the pool, and she's walking over to his friend, who originally had said that he thought she was hot, and starts making out with him.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, wow, like you're dating Madison now? Like, awesome. So in his mind, he's like, sweet, off the hook again. Like, this worked out perfectly. So then he's in the locker room, and she's in the locker room, I forget, and comes up to him and is like, and he's like, wow, like you're dating whatever his name is now. And she's like, yeah, but I still really like you.
No,
like, I always think about you when we're hooking up.
She like catches him. She's like, did I do something wrong? And like,
Oh, yeah.
is like being all weird again. Like he hates, like, why do you not like me anymore? And it's like, we had this discussion already.
Right.
But yeah, so there's that weird exchange. And then he goes to the hospital to work.
Yeah, he's a nurse. His mom's a doctor, and he does like part-time nursing, I think.
Or just like the medication dispensing, which
yeah,
I think is
candy
a weird
striper
thing. Like I guess that's not a hard job, but like it just seems very important to me, as evidenced by this scene. So I'm like, wow, they just let anybody do that? So, and also, how do you keep them straight? How do you know which one is whose? So he's dispensing the medicine to like his old man friend, who he's like being very like curt to because he can't like keep his mind off this like crazy situation that's like snowballing out of control. So he gives he's like, just take your pills. I have to go. And he takes the pills. He's like, makes like a sad old man face. And then Ben's like rolling the cart away. And then it's like, brr, brr, code blue, code blue. Like, is that really what happens? I think you get like a page. No, I think they get like a page or something, but there's not like an alarm that goes over the whole hospital when someone crashes, I don't think. So apparently he fucked up the medication and gave him the wrong fucking meds, and whoever else he got to before him. So he's being disciplined, and they're like, listen, we gotta let you go. He's like, she must have switched the pills when I wasn't looking. And as far as I know, like, he hasn't brought her up at all before this. So were they like, is he crazy? Like, who's he talking about? Who is she?
Well, he did say something about his, like, key card or something was, like, out of his sight or something
His card,
at one point.
The medication card or something?
Yeah,
like when he was,
something like that.
And they're like,
so they know it was probably, like, somebody else. So then, like,
knows,
suddenly it's like... Yeah, it's like a waterfall of things that like start to happen. So he has scouts coming from Stanford to watch him swim. They do drug testing before swim meets, and it turns out that his drug test positive for steroids. So misses out on the big meet.
But but it's after the old man almost dies that he grabs her by the throat, like in the library, right?
Oh yeah,
and is like really scary and like threatening her, which like yes, she's pretty much psychotic, but that scene felt like very extreme to me. I was like, I don't feel like we need to do this violence against women act. Like I know she's
definitely
a terrible
not,
person, but like I think this is too much. Like just have a talk with I know she's not getting it, but like call the police and get a restraining order. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I feel like they're just trying to show him like how unhinged he's getting, right? Like all this stuff is just making him really like change personality wise. So his life is like slowly going down the toilet here. So, misses his chance on Stanford, huge blow. That's like his entire life plan down the drain. It gets back to his girlfriend that he cheated on her, right?
Yeah. Well, so he's going to tell her.
He's going to tell her.
And then, but before he can, she finds out from someone else. Guess who?
And they never like say
sure
who.
her.
And then all of his friends are kind of like against him a little bit too because of that. So now he's like, okay, like my life is like down the shitter. So he starts to be like, I got to figure this out. Like, what is this bitch up to? Breaks into her big creepy house and finds, what everyone's always looking for in these stalker flicks, what I call the stalker box. So it's either the stalker box or the stalker room or the stalker wall. Mm-hmm. Like there's going to be some evidence that this person is like way too into you, because it like has to establish that it's not just in your head that this person, because they always do a thing where the person seems normal sometimes or when they're in public or whatever. So you have to be like, okay, like there's something has got to show that this person is completely bonkers. So he finds the stalker box. Stalker box has his swimming goggles in them. Some articles of all his swimming,
his clippings.
His clippings of all his swimming triumphs. So he's like, found the stalker box. Awesome. Like, I'm going to take this and run. And is she like coming up?
There's also a photograph.
Oh my God. Her hack job Photoshop herself like into a photo of him and his girlfriend.
She cut a picture of herself out, which was like way too small for the size of the picture. So she looks like a midget person, like and it's so bad. And he's like, okay. And then he turns around. Honestly, he's making way too much noise. He was being very noisy with those drawers. I was like, listen, you're sneaking around. Keep it down.
He's stressed out.
But she's downstairs.
He may be an expert lock picker, but he is no cat burglar, okay? That was not his skill.
Even though she's downstairs playing a cello concert to random old women.
Oh my God. I asked Jimmy, I was like, who are these old ladies? Like, what is she doing?
The cello convention? Like, what is this? It's so weird. Is it a secret society of like weird, crazy women? Maybe.
I don't know.
So, so he's snooping around, and then who should interrupt him but Dante. So weird Dante. So there's a scene in the beginning where he there's like this guy kind of hunched over walking through the halls, and he bumps into Ben's like jerk friend. And he's like, watch it, man. Hey, I'm talking to you. And then he turns around, and it's this little Dante, as Sweetie said. I mean, he has a hearing aid, so I guess he couldn't hear him. Or is he weird? A little bit of both.
I feel like that actor is like a good-looking guy that they just like dweebed up.
No, he is. He's in other movies. And he's usually like a jock kind of like dumb guy.
I mean, he's a big dude.
But he's Madison's cousin, and so she's staying with him. So he comes in, he's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "You shouldn't be here. Like, if she finds you, she'll kill you." Or no, she hasn't killed anyone yet. No, but I think she has before he like snoops in our house, right?
No,
yeah, they do because wait, hold on, back up. So after he gets caught for alleged steroid use, he has like a confrontation with his jerky friend who's like, "You helped her, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like frame me or whatever for doping." And he's like, "What are you talking about, man?" And he pushes him into the pool. And then you show Madison and what is that guy's name? The jerky friend?
I don't remember.
I don't know. We'll
I want to say like Brad.
I was going to say Billy. It was like we just have like this storage of jerky guy names.
Josh? Maybe Josh.
Maybe Josh.
No, it's Josh because the scene you're going to describe, she goes, "I know your name, Josh." Like,
okay. I thought it was something with that was like a Y, like ended like Randy or something.
Yeah.
But so maybe Josh and Madison are making out in the car, and she's like, "Oh Ben, Ben." And the guy,
yeah, it's Josh.
And Josh, affirmative Josh, is like, "What?" He's like, "My name's not Ben." And she's like, "Of course it's not." And then he's like, "It's true, isn't it? Like, you did trick him and like fuck up his life and we're crazy or whatever." And she's like, "Don't say that. Don't say that."
The jumps these people make are like amazing. Like one small thing, they're like, "I knew it."
It's so true.
I knew it.
It's funny. So, so she's like, "Well, we can't have that." So then next morning, Ben goes to take his laps in the morning. And he's swimming. There's a baseball bat in his locker first. So he's like, that's kind of weird. Because it's like his friend Josh's baseball bat that he like, such a douche thing to like have a baseball bat and like hold it over your shoulders like you're stretching, that thing that you do with the baseball bat. It's just like it's just a douchey guy thing. But he does that a lot. So he's like, why is Josh's bat here? Weird. So he like puts it on top of the locker, goes for his swim. He's swimming and then boom. Dead Josh in the pool, bloody head, bumps into him. He like freaks out. He's like, "Help, help." So he dead. He real dead. Tragedy strikes. So Ben's immediately like, okay, obviously Madison killed him because she's pretty crazy. Even though I think in this case there still like wasn't a lot of evidence that it was her, right? Like she didn't leave anything behind. Let's say. So I was like, okay. I mean, it could have been anyway. It could have been. What if it was What if it was Dan Hedaya who was actually crazy? Like, I don't know. I'm just saying.
She had motive. Stop. Okay. So the scene we just described where she breaks into the house happens after this because he's like after the funeral of the friend and he's like, I need to figure this out.
This is serious. I gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
So then Dante's like, she'll kill you, and he goes, I know. Like, she's killed someone. So, yeah. So then, what happens?
So then Dante gives them another box, another stalker box. The original stalker box.
Oh, my God.
Of clippings of another guy, very similar to his, except he's a baseball player. So he's like, who the fuck is Jay Donnelly or whatever the fuck that guy's name was?
Jared Donnelly,
and so Dante is like, you better come with me. So he gets into Dante's like busted Chevy and they drive to New York to this hospital run by nuns. And he's like, I'm here to see Jay Donnelly or whatever. And the nuns just like let him up there. And this guy's in this room hooked up to ventilators. And there's like all these baseball trophies and like a baseball jacket. So Jay Donnelly, ex-boyfriend of, Crazy McCraitster, is in a coma. So he's putting it together, be like, oh shit, I'm not the first one she's like done this to. Like, this is trouble. So then he gets a call. He calls his mom to like check in or something. I forget why, but she's like, Amy has just been brought in. She's a doctor at the hospital.
She pages him. The mom pages him.
Oh, yeah.
Pagers were happening here.
So you see Amy like get on her little scooter and like drive to work at her little waitressing job, and then you see Madison, who had stolen the car keys of
like a while
the
ago.
Ford Bronco. Yeah, when like she went to go visit the mom, and made copies, I guess. And it takes the car, puts on a black baseball cap that's one like just like he has, and mows her down. So now they think that Ben. What's his name?
Yeah, Ben
Is that his name?
Cronin. Ben Cronin.
Yeah, Ben. Ben has now, like, with no motive whatsoever, tried to run down his girlfriend.
What is going on?
Bad
Ben?
news. So he's like, we got to fucking figure this out. So he steals the baseball jacket from the guy who's comatose in the bed, goes presumably to the hospital. And then you see Madison with a doctor's coat on, walking through the sketchy basement floor where they're keeping poor Amy, who was in the Vespa accident. Like, what was that?
Why was it the
What was that
basement?
ward?
Wait, was it the
It
basement?
looks like the basement. She takes the elevators for a while, and then she looks like she's in the basement. It looks very cold and sad down there.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a weird hospital. Like, every time they got in the elevator, I was like, why are they in the stairwell? Because, like,
Yeah.
it just, like, seemed like a stairwell door. But whatever.
So she's like menacingly carrying a scalpel, presumably to go like kill poor Amy, who is like sleeping in the bed, recovering from this
She
horrible
seems
moped
okay.
incident.
She seems okay. She like just has like a red mark on
Yeah,
the side of her
she's
face,
just, like,
and that's it.
She's got bumps and bruises. But then all of a sudden, Madison hears Jay Donnelly to the reception. Jay Donnelly to reception. So she's kind of like, what? Like, that's my old boyfriend's name who I tried to kill. So she's like, kind of thinking like he's woken up and come back and is going to come find her, when you're like, okay, you put him in that bed. I don't know like what you're talking about. So she goes to go find him, and she sees what she thinks is Jay Donnelly, ex-boyfriend,
In
back
his
to life.
baseball uniform.
In his baseball uniform. And she's like, Jay, and like runs after him into the parking garage. Thinks it's him. Is that you? Turns around, and it's her cousin.
Okay. The guy that she thinks it is like 2 times shorter than her cousin. Like, her cousin is a big dude. And it was just funny the way they like morphed it. But yeah, so it's Dante, and he's like, heh. He's like, and then she tries to like get him with the scalpel. And then Ben comes out of the side, and like they have a confrontation. And then they talk about all the things she's done. And like, do you think I would have killed blah, blah, blah for you, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you can't think I'm that stupid or whatever. And he's like, you are. And then one of their friends comes out from behind the car with like a camcorder. So they got it all on tape. So she's toast. So meanwhile, I mean, Ben has been suspected of being, like we said, the killer because he's had this drug pass. So there's this cop that the Orange is the New Black guy who's like, well, this just makes sense because you were a delinquent a couple years ago. So obviously you did this. And that's his defense. That's like his evidence. And so now Ben is like, here's actual evidence. So he's off the hook. So he's feeling good. So Madison's arrested. She's like in the back of the police car. Not 100% sure about this police car because they're stopped at a train signal. And then Madison is able to pull one of the officers' guns and shoot them both and escape. How is that possible?
I'm pretty sure that's why you do not have an officer with a gun sitting in the back with the
Why were
criminal?
they doing that? Why wasn't he in the front
I don't
seat?
know.
Was somebody else
Like,
in the
she
front
was-
seat? They have too
She
many
was
cops?
handcuffed. I don't know. It was very weird. So she was handcuffed. So I don't know why he was sitting back there. He like spills his coffee on himself. He's sort of like not paying attention. She's able, even though she has handcuffs on,
Yeah,
to
how did
grab.
she get out of that? She
I
have a
don't
bobby
know.
pin?
Grab. Yeah, is she a lock picker too? Grabs the gun and shoots them. Scary. Takes the car and drive to Ben's. Knocks on the door. He's there with his mom. Amy is now staying in their upstairs bedroom, sort of like recuperating.
Why is
he
that
goes
again?
outside?
Why is she
I know,
staying
I
with
don't-
them at their house?
no explanation.
I was like, I thought he went to the hospital again. And I was like, oh, no, this is his house? Like, weird.
Yeah. So he goes outside. No one's there, but he sees like a cop car. So he goes back inside, and his mom is on the ground in the kitchen, and passed out. Someone has hit her, and then he gets hit over the head as well with, ironically, one of his swimming trophies. So he wakes up, and he wakes up his mom, and she's okay. And then he goes up to find Amy, and she's gone. So he's kind of putting it together, like, oh shit, like Madison took her. So he's driving around frantically, like trying to find them, and he gets a page being like, care for a dip, I think it says. So he knows she's at the pool. And he goes there, and she is just about handcuffing poor bruised and battered Amy to a chair, and freaking out. And that's when the famous line comes in, like, "Tell her you love me. I know it." Like she's obsessed with like him saying, she just wants to be loved. Yeah. I mean, she's crazy, but she really just needs that validation.
Yes. Yeah. So he's not giving it. He's like, I can't do that. And she's like, fine. And she like pushes Amy in the rolly chair like off into the pool. So Amy's handcuffed and tied to this chair. And Ben jumps in after her, tries to pull her up. The chair is too heavy. He can't pull it up. Even though I'm like, aren't things like way lighter in water? Isn't that like a thing?
I thought it was you're weightless, but maybe not with a chair. Who knows? We should try it. Experiment.
Yeah. Sweetie Busters.
Well, do they? I mean, I think they do that with movies sometimes. Do they? Like a Mythbuster with movie stuff? I think they do.
Yeah.
That's a different show, maybe.
No, that's it. So he tries to get it, no good. By the way, Amy has like drowned immediately when she like went in the water. Like she didn't even hold her breath at all. She's immediately drowned. So then he, as luck would have it, he kept the Madison's bobby pin, right? And that's it.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even realize that until you said. Like, I don't know when you were talking about the beginning. Yeah, that he kept it, and he, like, ironically had those jeans on still and everything.
Thank God.
Or coincidentally had those jeans on.
Yeah, so then he picks the handcuffs because he's great at that. So again, thank God for that hidden talent. Meanwhile, Madison's like, I will kill you, and, like, tries to kill him with, like,
this is my favorite part, by far.
What was that?
Okay, first of all, honey, the pool is, like, 10 feet deep. I don't know what you think you're gonna. They are at the bottom of the pool. I don't know what you think. Like
they were coming up. Like they were coming.
But still, yeah. But she was doing it before then. Like they were way deep in the water. He's trying to like pick the lock of the handcuffs, and she's like whipping the water with whatever that object she has. I don't know, like the pool net or something. Who knows? So they are able to avoid that. He drags Amy up and gives her CPR. Meanwhile, Madison falls in, and if you remember from the beginning, she cannot swim. New York raised bitch, never learned to swim, and she drowns.
I'm shocked because he gave her a really good swimming lesson. And that, like, I thought she learned it. I thought she was fine, but no, she drowned. She's dead. Yeah. So then they like look over, and she's like eerily floating in the water, and you're like, oh, the beast is dead. So, yay. What a crazy, couple weeks. Whew, good times. Cut to some point in the future. Swim meet again or whatever. But Ben is not swimming in it because, it's too bad because I feel like they could have had a case that like, okay, obviously this girl killed this person. So I think she spiked my pee with steroids. But, so they just show, so he's watching it and then he's like, okay, I've seen enough of this. And then like leaves, gets in the car with Amy and is like, hey, and she's like, hey. And then it's just like over.
Yeah. If I was this director, I just would have cut it on the dead body floating. Yeah. I don't think you needed that last scene.
Enough. And what was that last scene even about? He's at peace with not being a swimmer?
Well, I think that they're like back together, but like obviously their relationship has changed because of this. I mean, they've kind of now bonded over this shared tragedy, but there's still definitely that like distrust I think that she has. So I think that's like what that scene's supposed to mean. So it's like even though she's dead and like everything can kind of go back to normal, it just never can because of his one foolish mistake. So yeah, that's the flick, guys. Good plot. Love those crazy like suspense thriller plots that are just totally bananas.
So bananas. And she just goes from 0 to 100 like just like so quickly that to the point where this is what kind of annoys me is that like they don't give her any credit like at all. Like from the very beginning she's crazy. She seems crazy, right? And it's not even like he led her to this. Like she purposely tells him, it's fine. I'm not interested in being your girlfriend. And so then she immediately freaks out when he's like, okay, good. And then he's not giving her attention. And then she freaks out. So it's not like she was a woman scorned. Like, you know what I mean? she initiated the like, we're just friends. And then he was like, okay, great. And then she was like, why aren't we lovers? And it was just, so they don't give her any redemption. Whereas I feel like some of the other crazy women movies, it's a little more serious with them, right?
Well, they don't give her a backstory,
Right.
because I think the thing with these crazy women, and why I have a problem with these movies, is that usually the reason they're like that is because some man has fucked them up. Like, that's why they're like that. Whether it was their dad, whether it was the first boyfriend who messed them up, like they're not. Women, I feel like they're setting a movie up when you don't give someone a backstory, a big enough backstory, that women are just crazy. And then this is what has gone on and perpetuated the kind of like the narrative of being like this crazy woman thing, where like something has driven them to that. People are not just, totally nuts. It has, there's like usually a reason for any psychological break like that. I mean, even like, serial killers usually have, a good percentage of them have like a serious abuse or whatever in their past. Like somebody fucks them up. So, there's not enough time clearly to do like some prequel about him, but I think you're right. In some movies that they do a better job of like, and I think it's supposed to be kind of implied that I'm sure her other boyfriend like broke up with her and she just like, went nuts about it. 'Cause she clearly just like really wants to be loved. I mean, her parents, sounds like she has kind of a weird family situation if her parents just like dump her somewhere and aren't around. So, I'm sure they were setting it up that way. They just didn't do like a good job of explaining it. But she was cuckoo.
Yeah, she's just unquestionably
definitely
crazy.
a sociopath.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So the first thing, so this movie reminded me just like of a feeling of like the band Lifehouse. Like I just feel like,
oh my god, I love them.
This was like
falling even more in love with you.
But this music,
letting go of all
I would class the soundtrack
to.
in this movie is more like angry rock music genre.
Yeah.
Which is that like it's not like Metallica, but it's close to it. But I don't know what these bands were, but it was just very like loud boy music, like when he's in his car.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Like I don't know, like it's so loud. I don't know. It's not enjoyable to me. But to each their own. But totally reminded me of this moment in time. So 2 distinct memories from watching this for the first time when I was in high school is number 1, the jump scare in the pool with the body in the pool. Whoa. Yeah. That was one of my like earliest jump scare moments in a theater because possibly because I was on edge already. There was water. Look, I know sharks aren't in pools, but I think that like naturally when there's water, I'm like something spooky's going to happen. And it did. And even like today when I'm watching a movie of like somebody swimming, I'll always think of this scene from Swimfan because it's so like you just don't expect it. Did you scream? Were you like, ah?
No, I did kind of remember it, but that is what I love about these kind of thrillers. The good old jump, that's basically like all they have to go for themselves in terms of like the scare factor.
There's only one.
Because you do
in this one
because
anyways.
Right. But I feel like, the Stalker genre, it tends to be kind of like a halfway between like drama / horror. It's not totally horror, I feel like. I mean, there are like horror Stalker ones. Yeah. But like that's the thriller is definitely more my jam, especially when I was kind of scared of gory stuff back in the day. I'm much better at it now. But this would be the kind of movies that I'd like I'd get my thrills off of because it was just scary enough. You're right. With like the jump scares and stuff like that.
Stalker being just enough. But not like murder.
Exactly. Same thing. No, I agree.
Same thing. But yeah, and then also that same scene when for some reason his name is really hard to remember, and like I know you had a hard time with it, and every time I go to say his name, I just look at it written down on the paper because I keep forgetting. But just now in my head, I wanted to say Peter. I wanted to say it. I was like Peter, and like, it's not Ben. Peter. It's Ben. He just doesn't look like a Ben. It's hard. It's hard for me. But it's when he jumps in the pool and then does his laps. You can like see his pubes. It's like the pube view. Because the little suits that they wear are like really tiny. And I guess maybe we're just used to the like giant ones they wear today, like in the Olympics, where they're like back to the old bathing suit.
Well, he's like a dark-haired, hairy dude. He probably has like an insane.
I know, but I always
stomach treasure trail.
We watched this movie when we were in high school. We're like, oh my god! and so those are my two main memories.
Not his pubes.
And I think the pool sex scene too, like I was saying,
Yeah.
really spoke to me, really like ignited a fire somewhere deep inside.
Cool.
But yeah, those are my memes. Those are the memes.
Nice.
Do you have
Nice.
any?
Love those memes. I didn't have any memes. I remember, like I said, the last scene I remembered. Like, I don't know, maybe because people made fun of it or something, but I do remember that and her pushing the girl in the chair and all that. So I liked the cool thing they were trying to do by looking, everything had like a blue tint to it almost the whole time, sort of with the whole swimming thing. And also I want to say that when I was watching this, I was like, what's so cool about swim team? Because like in our high school, it was not cool kids who did swim team. Like they were not,
There were some cool
you know,
kids.
we didn't have any in like my generation at all. And I was like, wow, that's like a weird sport to stalk. But then it all made sense because like of all the things that you could do with a pool, right? Like you could drown someone in the pool. Like the dead body could be in there. You could have sex in the pool. It was like basketball fan. Like they wouldn't be able to use that sport in the way they were able to use like the swimming aspect of it, which I thought was pretty cool.
Pretty smart.
Because I don't think like, you know, between that and I was watching, you know, we watched sex ed, and swimming is a big part of that. The cool guy is like a swimmer in that too. And we were just like, is swimming cool?
Yeah.
Was swimming ever cool?
Now it is with Michael Phelps and Ryan, whatever.
Right,
Lochte.
right.
Like it's
But definitely when I was in high school, it wasn't like a big sport. You didn't like no. I just forgot we even had a swim team.
Yeah, I mean, there were cool kids in my day.
And
but
you know what? Okay, this is my theory about why our school didn't have the cool swim thing. We were in a school that had a school pool. We had to use like a pool outside with this place called the Norseman, which is basically like a fancy gym for like rich people.
I smelled the Norseman the other day.
Yeah, I know.
was just like
Well, it was
walking
just, like,
around
chlorine.
and it just like came into me and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But it was like, you know, like a gym, no chain or anything. It just like was a gym and it was kind of this cool building right kind of down the street from where we lived. But we didn't have a pool that was connected to our school, so swim team had to go there. So it wasn't like you could like, oh, let's go to like the pool and watch kids swim. You know, you wouldn't do that. Right. So maybe that's why.
Maybe, yeah. So another thing, what was the other thing I wanted to bring up? Have you ever, very important question, have you ever licked your finger to turn a page of a book in your life?
No. That's an old lady thing.
Isn't that like the creep? That's like my number 3 like creepiest thing I think that people do. He does it. Ben does it when he's like looking through her secret diary or whatever. And it's like so weird. And I'm like, ew. I'm like, don't lick the page.
In the new era of coronavirus, that is definitely not going to be allowed.
Not okay.
BTW.
I just think that's such a funny. I've literally never done that in my life. And it's not necessary. It's not necessary. No. The pages are never really like that, unless it's like that paper thin dictionary paper. Maybe. Mm-hmm. But I'm not okay with it. Yeah. What else? What do you have?
So I have a list of things that are so 2000s.
Oh yes, I forgot to take those down. So
this is 2002. So you're kind of on the cusp of the late 90s. So remember that because I feel like some of the stuff kind of carries over from late 90s. So beeper. Very prevalent here. Even though people had cell phones. I mean, I had a cell phone in 2002. It wasn't one I like put on all the time, but like I had one.
Yeah.
So between the beeper and then the payphone he uses at the hospital, you're like, whoa, okay, this was almost 20 years ago. Like this is where telephones, were, which is pretty cool. I didn't know anyone who had a beeper in high school.
No.
That's a funny thing.
None.
I mean, we didn't have cell phones. I was like the year that we didn't really get them until like freshman year. And like I said, I had one, but I didn't have it on all the time until probably like sophomore year, I want to say. The club. So in his car, he has a club to lock up the steering wheel, even though it looks like he lives in a pretty like suburban, nice little neighborhood.
It's so weird. And his mom is
Woof.
like, Benjamin, how many times have I told you when you park this car, you must use the club? And it's like, why? And it's like a shitty car. Like, who wants that?
So weird. The off-brand AOL Instant Messenger. So I don't know like what that was about, but it looked like pretty basic. Messenger bags. Okay. Remembered the like lure of those when people were totally over backpacks and they're like, give me a messenger bag. And you would have this like cross-body bag, but it was like pretty big because you had to fit your books and like a laptop in it. So I think
Who had a
I
laptop?
had one once I went to college.
Oh.
I had it, I think, when I was in college, I want to say.
No.
Like, I got one from LL Bean, a messenger bag.
First of all, you're forgetting the time that you and I goaded father into buying these amazing, what we thought were like so cool blue messenger bags from LL Bean. And we got them.
Yes.
I think we got them monogrammed because obviously.
Yes.
And then they arrived, and they were ginormous. They were huge. It like wrapped around our body. We were like,
I knew it. I knew it.
like,
No, I
gross.
just,
And then we made tats in the back.
they were too big. You can't do that big. I mean, I you know how big crossbody is right now for like purses and stuff? Like, that's fine for like a little bag, but a crossbody for like a huge bag? That is like terrible.
So yeah, we sent them back. I don't know what we got instead. I don't know, maybe.
But I remember that
real
was like such a
backpack.
trend.
But yeah, and
Um,
they were not good for you, and they hurt my back.
No, they weren't.
And I would always like cram too much stuff in there, but I did think I was cool, I'll say.
Yeah, I did too. It was definitely like a trend
Yeah.
of that time. Steroids, I'll say. I was like, oh, the steroids. You know, that was pretty like 90s, 2000s. You had all those dopers. We continue to have dopers, you know. I spied an iMac at one point. Dante had one on his desk. Love those. Remember how crazy
The
people were for
classic
those?
turquoise.
We didn't have one.
The Contis did. The Contis
The
had
Contis
that,
did. Yeah,
that
that's
color
it. Our
one.
aunt and uncle did. Yep.
Yeah, they
Yep.
were very like Mac people.
Wanted one so bad, but now those are like, holy shit, those were like huge bulbous things.
But they were so cool.
So cool. And then payphones. So I already said that one.
Payphones. I was trying to remember
some
when we
good
used
stuff.
to have to like carry dimes around for payphones. What a
really.
simple time. You don't.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
I
did
know.
you call collect?
Or when he was like, when he, you know, he's trying to tell his mom that Madison did it, and you know his time runs out, and he can't find change to put into, like how that doesn't happen anymore. Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, but good time. No crazy like, I would say like fashion stuff really. That didn't really like stick out, even though
just
like Madison's weird
Madison's
fashion, but it wasn't
weird.
anything to
Yeah.
do
No
with
thanks.
But
Yeah, you're right. Nothing else really stood out.
No,
Out as a
yeah,
super
could be.
90s. It's time.
It's a timeless film.
It's a timeless classic.
You wish.
It's just-
Okay, so I thought we'd wrap up, you know, by doing a quick summary of the other Stalker films that we can remember. So the one I put first was The Crush. I don't know if you've ever seen that, Sweetie, with Alicia Silverstone and Carrie Elways.
Crush. No, but you talk about it all the time. So
It's a good one. We should definitely do it. It was in the Alicia Silverstone heyday, so like around Clueless time, and she, I feel like, is a babysitter. So and has, I think she has an affair. He's the dad. I think. Is that? I don't know. I might be getting the plot wrong. Anyway, you know, definitely crazy psycho girl gets way too like involved and is evil. Single white female, so that is your girl on girl one. More like stalker, like I want to be you and I want your life, not I want to be with you romantically.
Bridget
And
Fonda
that's-
and
Did you watch that for your horror blog?
yeah.
Horror, yeah.
There is a very upsetting scene in it that I just think is so unnecessary, and I'm still upset about it today. So I will never watch it again. But it is a very good thriller movie. It has a lot of like really good scenes in it. That movie is like very creepy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've never seen that, but my favorite when I was looking at the stills to put in my Instagram story was when she has the same haircut as her.
She like comes
And
down
that would,
the
like,
stairs and it's
Put
like,
me over the edge.
That's the scene that they put that in Bravo's scariest movie one of the scariest movie moments. It's really high up on the list, but it's that scene when she like comes down the stairs with the same haircut as her, and you're like, creepy.
Yeah, I just love that.
And then they did a remake of that movie called The Roommate, which was like kind of recently, and that was starring Leighton Meester and that girl that looks like her, who was on Friday Night Lights. And,
Oh, wow.
and something else, but I always mix them
Oh,
up.
cool.
But yeah, so that's a little
Yeah,
fun little
yeah,
thing.
That's a good one. I like that version of the stalker one. I feel like that's, you know, I don't know. I prefer that one versus the psycho bitch. Fatal Attraction. So that's definitely like the gold standard for, you know, the men with crazy woman one that kind of started it all. If like that movie, basically any guy who was having an affair was like, oh shit.
Right.
And like, was really thought
woman
twice
hath no
about
fury,
it.
A woman, what is
Yeah.
it? Hell hath no fury like a woman
And it's
scorned.
yeah, it's so good, and like Glenn Close is so good in that. Like she just
Yeah,
goes
that's a
totally
really good
nuts, and
movie.
like the
Also
yeah,
sad
I like
animal
that one a lot.
death, but like it's
Yes.
not as sad, but it's like sort of sad.
Right, and the ending's good. A lot of
So
jump
good.
scares.
That's
like
also
yeah,
on
yeah.
Bravo's 100
Oh
Scariest
yeah,
Movie
oh I love
Moments,
that
for
one.
sure.
So good. Cable Guy, you have sort of the comedy guy on guy one. So again, not that one's not really. He's trying to like take over his life, but he like really just wants a friend.
I know.
He's lonely.
We should watch that because that's another movie that I haven't seen in a long, long time. But I had watched it a few times when it was current. So I'm interested to know how that movie plays today.
Yeah, no, I am too. I added it to my list after I had talked about it.
Good.
As I had said in my story, Carol made us watch this movie Play Misty for me when we were kids.
She didn't make us watch it. She would like
recently.
She was always talking about it or something, and so
Yeah.
you and I were like, let's. And it was on also Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments.
Right.
So we were like, let's watch it. And this was back in the like Netflix. We get discs day. So I think
Right.
we got it one weekend and we watched it, and it was like a pretty good little flick. It
Yeah.
has its moments for sure.
Yeah, so it's from the 70s. I think it was definitely like a fatal attraction of the 1970s. And it stars Clint Eastwood. He's like a radio DJ, and this woman keeps calling up and keeps requesting this song, Misty. Play Misty for me. And like she just gets like really enraptured with him as this like DJ persona. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Haven't seen that one, but again, that one is sort of combined. Is like she wants the guy, but also like wants the life.
Or like and wants the baby, and there's like a scene
the
where she's like
baby?
the wife walks in and she's
breastfeeding?
Rebecca breastfeeding the baby.
Yeah,
And
I
you're
haven't
like,
seen that. I
what?
should see that.
Yeah, that's really good.
yeah,
It's
and
another
then-
kind of like Lifetime movie feeling kind of.
Yeah, definitely. And then Fear, which is sort of the main like scary guy one, which tend to be the scary guys seem to be like sort of a rejected guy but it's not like the girl cheats on him with him. Like it's more like they were in a relationship. She's like, no thanks, and then they go bonkers. That kind of seems to be a little bit more of that kind of style of the. So say what you will about what that means.
Yeah. There's also Pacific Heights with Michael Keaton as this like crazy tenant of oh my God, Melanie Griffith, and I forget who the other guy is, but that one's really good. It's another good, really fun little weekend thriller if you're ever bored. And then a current example, the show You on Netflix is very much in this same kind of genre. He's definitely more of a psychopath serial killer, but still, it's that same. It's just that like, I just love the like people will do the weird things people do to like get close to someone. I'm fascinated. It's fascinating.
Also, sort of a recent one was that Boy Next Door with J-Lo.
Oh, yeah.
Is kind of that other one.
He's
And
the stalker,
I forget
or she is?
Yeah.
He is.
He is. But I forget if the premise, I didn't see it, but if they like hook up and then he just like wants her and she's like, no. I think that's it.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think that is what it is. So a lot out there, guys. If you need more stalker flicks to wet your whistle, and don't stalk. Let's just say, don't stalk. don't leave your stalker box around if you're going to be stalking. I'll tell you that.
Don't leave your stalker box 1 and stalker box 2. Your second stalker box, don't leave that around either. What a dummy. She kept all of her evidence. All the evidence was just like casually in her room. She's like, here's the nurse's
like a trophy.
uniform. Here's the, I forgot the other big piece of evidence that I don't know, the baseball bat. It was like, really? You kept that? Oh, the steroids she like has in her like underwear drawer.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Well, I feel like stalkers too are always they're really smart. Like when you think about it, like to come up with all those kind of things, they're like, whoa, like that's some deep psychological shit that you've turned into pretty clever. Like you're a clever crazy person.
yeah, that's something.
Anyways.
That says something.
Good flick,
Yeah,
sweetie.
Good times. Good throwback. I enjoyed it. myself.
Yeah, and it's nice and short too.
Yeah. It was
Good
like,
old
yeah,
hour 30-minute one.
Yeah, perfect.
Loved it.
Available now, streaming on Amazon Prime.
Oh boy.
So yeah, so if you enjoy Swimfan, if you want to talk about it, come find us on Twitter at The Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Santos. Thank you, as always, for listening. Bye.
Bye, stalker rape artist. No.
I'm definitely a rape artist.